to ask you about love and what love is really. And I'm interested in the power of love, the pervasiveness of love. What does love really do? Sort of our connection with love. You were talking about us being at a frequency of love. I just wonder if you could give us a little more definition about it.
There's nothing we'd rather speak about. It is the alpha and omega of who you are and all that is. It's the beginning and it's the end. It's the journey and it's the goal. It is closer to you than your own breath. It is more real than any attack thought, than any concept of life or existence. It is not a feeling, though you sense it as a feeling. Love is a reality. It is the foundational energy of creation. It is fulfilled in relationship. Duality and love go hand in hand, lover and beloved, beloved and lover. It is the source of who you are, and it is your reason for existence. It is like gravity, we have said, the fundamental organizing force of consciousness. It is your greatest joy and your greatest fear. Did you know that?
No, how do you mean it's our greatest fear?
Because in the fire of love, you will burn up and your ego will go. You will exist no longer as what you thought you were. And so your own sense of identity is threatened by the totality and fire of love. This is why in your relationships, there's often this stop-start, pull-push. Because to really surrender to love means to lose all sense of human identity for a time, for a moment. And then a new identity forms from love. A new identity, an identity grounded and rooted in the truth. Permanent. You know, it was said again by one of your masters, the Christ. He said, dig your foundation in solid ground, that your home would not blow away in a hurricane. What did he mean? He meant in truth, which is love. The foundation of everything you do is love. And it is not just one kind of love. There is romantic love. There is erotic love. Yes, sexuality is an aspect of love, a very important aspect of love. Perhaps you've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Now, there are more or less limited kinds of love, but they all emanate from a sense of attraction and a desire to be intimate and close with another. This is why we say love is rooted in relationship. In the stillness of unity consciousness, there is stillness and light and peace. But in the emanations and in the temporary forms that light generates, love forms. It is why you want relationship, and it is what and when you have fulfilled your love, the sense of relationship will be gone, because there will only be a sense of one being. You feel this in sexuality when you have beautiful sexuality and you merge with your lover. And in that moment of love making, when the chemicals are pumping through your system and you lose that individuated sense of consciousness and the dopamine is rushing through your body and the oxytocin is pumping, your brain softens enough so you feel oneness, you merge.
But that I do think that a lot of people understand it in an intimate relationship, but I'm sort of wondering about just our love one for another
Oh,
and how we can
yes.
maybe bring it into play more. I think that people regard love as weak, and what they're interested in is power and
Oh, yes.
control.
Yes. All right.
Um,
You want us to speak to that?
please, thank you.
Yes. You see, people who believe that love is weak do not know what love is. And the reason why we start with the intimate relationship is because it is the only place you can first experience it.
Uh-huh.
You see? You can feel it through the sexuality and you sense it.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge is, how do you extend it to someone who isn't sleeping with you,
Exactly.
who you didn't give birth to, yes,
Right.
who wasn't your father or your clan,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yes?
Yes.
So in this case, the way that love manifests is as kindness and generosity and patience,
Uh-huh.
you see? So why do people say love is weak? Because they believe that that they are human beings with a physical body that can be destroyed. They believe this. They believe.
Oh, yes.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay. So let us decide which is weak and which is strong. Viktor Frankl, you know who he is?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Mhm.
Yes. Would you like to share anything about Viktor Frankl?
Um,
Did you read his book?
Go ahead. I did.
What did you think?
I thought it was, well, I read it a long time ago, but I thought it was very beautiful and very powerful. It was very influential.
Yes, very. So when he was on a forced march, yes,
Yes.
he was a prisoner of war by
Right.
the Nazis.
Uh-huh.
We believe he was Jewish, yes, but not certain. He may have been a political. But anyway, they killed many more besides Jews. For the record, they
Right.
killed anybody who was opposed to their agenda: gypsies, homosexuals, communists, British, Americans. It was not just the Jews,
Yeah.
and the Jews suffered the bulk of the Jews were heavily damaged by this. So, but no one lays claim to the Holocaust as their sole wound. It is a wound of humanity.
When you say it's a wound of humanity,
All beings have been affected.
oh, yes.
The tribe of the Jews was decimated and damaged more, perhaps than the homosexuals and the gypsies. Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
However, a crime against one is a crime against all. So it is a wound in the heart of humanity against all beings, not just one tribe. And yet, our heart, of course, is with the Jews who suffered so deeply because they were the target of the shadow. They were the objectified, the externalized, projected shadow of the Nazis. And what they really wanted, among other things, was their money. But they were also, it was more than that. They believed that they projected all of their darkness and shadow, all of their negativity onto the Jewish tribe, yes? And in a false and misguided attempt to to eliminate their shadow,
Mm.
they nearly wiped out an entire race with the gypsies. But there is no individual race. There is no, one race is not different from another race. Black is white, white is yellow, yellow is red. You are all human beings. And so, Viktor Frankl, one of the victims of this atrocity, was on a forced march. Now, have you either of you been on a forced march? It's rough. It's very, very bad. The Indians went through this. The Trail of Tears.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Another wound. Many, many wounds. It is felt. All of it is felt. On a forced march, you don't necessarily eat. You may not have shoes. Your captors beat you if you stop. The Russians went through the same thing with Napoleon. Many beings have gone through forced marches. And it is horrific. Your compatriots are dropping around you, and if they can't go on, they are either killed or left to die in the snow, or the dirt, or the sun. Viktor Frankl was on such a march, a captive, a prisoner. And in the midst of this march, he was in such despair that he did not know if he could go on or why he should go on. And he thought of his wife, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And he thought of the love of his wife. And it was this memory, but it's not only a memory. This vision of love, of the divine feminine, as seen through the image of his wife, his own inner feminine. But love, true love, a love that transcends the conditions of a forced march, the worst conditions a human being can suffer. It so filled him that he survived the march. He went through this concentration camp. He was a source of inspiration to all of his fellow prisoners. And the Germans themselves became afraid of him on a certain level. They could not touch him. Not afraid of him, but respectful in a certain way. Gandhi could walk into a British court of law and be respected. It wasn't because he had money. It wasn't because he had power later. But at first, it was the conviction of truth and justice, which is the expression of love in the social realm. Love is the most powerful force in existence. You still remember the rabbi who died for love thousands of years later. Love is the most powerful force, and all manifestations of evil are temporary, but love is eternal. So is love weak? Or is fear and anger and perpetration weak? Does not love feel secure, whereas perpetrators feel insecure? It is all finally ignorance. And there is no judgment, but there is learning and opportunity and consequence as you journey through this maze of mind into the heart of love, returning to who you are.